Jupiter. We got Jupiter in the house, Jupiter in Taurus, and we have Uranus in Taurus. Now, these did not just get here. However, they are doing something that is considered to be the most auspicious conjunction event of 2024, and it is happening in April in Taurus. When we think of Jupiter energy, expansiveness, we always say Jupiter adds to things. It's the go big or go home energy. Jupiter is all about being, I don't want to say the showman, but it's like if it's going to do it, it's going to go like over the top, right? And Jupiter wants it to just be done in a really big way. So many times when you meet people with Jupiter energy, you may, like, I remember a friend of mine, and there was a couple people I can think of actually who reminded me of this once I got to know them, and I kind of, anyway, with my brain in the astrology, that's how it does, right? So I remember him, he already had a home, right? And he was always working on fixing something in the home or whatever. Really, really fun person, really great guy. And so anyway, he was doing some particular work because he was very, very handy. I mean, like he was ripping down walls and rewiring and shit. And that wasn't like his 9 to 5 job. Like this is just what he would do because he was someone who would like to work on projects and get involved in things, but he was really trying to acquire security. He was trying to acquire Cancer energy, stability in the home. So he said, okay, I'm going to buy this other house, right? And he wanted it to be bigger. So he bought a bigger home and he wanted it to be better. So it had like an in the ground pool, right? But it was a kind of a fixer upper, So he bought this job he bought this house knowing going in, he was going to have to tear down the walls because all the electrical needed to be redone. Things were outdated. And he knew there was just going to be a lot of nitty gritty detailed stuff to do. And I'm sure he got a great price, this was some years back, by the way. This wasn't recent by any means. Anyhow, he got it. He started doing the job and we were talking. And in the talking, he was like, he didn't say I bit off more than I could chew, but he felt like it because he was like, I'm doing this all by myself. And I'm thinking, yeah, you bought it all by yourself. Like this was this was what you wanted to do, like this was your dream, your vision. This was you trying to just get more of something, right? And like I said, he already had his own home. He already had his own home that he had been living in for at least 10, 15 years and multiple cars. And to him, it always just seemed like he was always collecting and gathering, and to kind of take this a little bit further to understand the Jupiter energy of expanding and going big, because sometimes we think of Jupiter, expanding and going big, usually with like, I don't know, how do you see it? But many times we just think, it's like a balloon, so it blows up. So sure, if you got Jupiter coming around on your chart and it's going to sit on your ascendant, sure, you could all of a sudden, there's like weight gain. Absolutely, it could do that to you, right? That could do it to you if it's sitting on the opposite of the ascendant. Like there's certain angles where it can line up and it can look that way, where you can see it really obviously, where there's an accumulation or something has been added to. It's kind of like compounded interest in a way, where it just like stacks it, right? So it can be that way. And I only mention it like that, compounded interest, because we're thinking Jupiter and Taurus, values, money and banking, Jupiter and Taurus. But to get back to my story with my friend and his other home, he got to the point where he kind of, I think, was depressed. He wasn't saying that, but he would constantly say, I've contacted such and such, my friends and other people, and I've asked people to come out and help. He's like, and they all say they'll help me. He's like, but here I am. I say these are the days I'll be out at the house working on it, and I tell them, don't bother to bring anything. I'm buying the beer, I'm buying the pizza, whatever, right? I'm supplying those things, and of course the tools, right? He's like, but nobody ever shows up. Nobody ever shows up. So finally it got down to where he was telling people, okay, I am paying people X amount of dollars per hour to show up. And then people showed up, right? He had to show the money and people showed up. So there's a lot of different Jupiter examples in this in that story where he wanted a lot, but he had to spend a lot to get the help he needed, the abundance, the security. And I've never seen this chart, by the way. Like I never talked astrology with this person. This was many years ago, and I knew him. They had nothing to do with astrology, but for some reason he thought I was his therapist. And so we would talk all the time, or I would listen all the time, whether I wanted to or not. I was kind of trapped because I was in a job where I worked with the public, and this was somebody who was like a contractor for the job. And so they would come in like every couple of weeks. And so they kind of have you're kind of like held hostage because here you are doing your duty, working your job, and here's this person like filling your ear. And so they kind of have you in this captured space, so to speak. And in a way, that kind of felt like to me Jupiter on the job, which is it can be expansive and it can throw its weight around. You follow? And in a way, in a really weird way, it was kind of like that. And we think therapy, we think Jupiter being the ancient ruler of Pisces, and so we think psychology, right? And psychotherapy, psychologist. And so it kind of weaves into that because this was for years. Years, and many times I heard stuff, trust me, I heard shit I never wanted to hear. I heard shit that I never asked about. It was like, "I know too much." One of those things like, "Please don't tell me anymore." And I've even anyway, so this was the Jupiter more of the Jupiter theme. It was like I didn't ask for it was just it just he just kept giving and giving and like a faucet that wouldn't turn off. And this isn't to be mean. This is just to give an example of how we can see something there's just like this constant flow and it's an exaggeration, but it can also go to an extreme. Jupiter is beliefs. It is religion. It is my philosophy on life. It is my spirituality. We have to look at Jupiter and the definitions for Jupiter in relationship to Sagittarius energy, but also to Pisces energy, because Jupiter is going to be in Taurus. So we kind of got to make sure that we're paying attention to all the keywords for the planet Jupiter. And then there's freaking Uranus. Then there's shocks and surprises. Uranian energy, all about surprises, all about I am unconventional. You shouldn't expect this actually, right? It's the expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. And so it's in Taurus energy. And again, values, money, banking, we think of values, and we also think of desires. I didn't mention that when I spoke of Jupiter and Taurus together, but an increase value in our desires, an increase belief about what we value, whatever that is that we value, and whatever that is that we believe in, an increase in that, and maybe the possibility to go extreme. And when there's Jupiter and then Uranus joins the party, they get together. And we're going to show the chart in a minute so that you can see where they're conjunct. I know I showed this chart many months back already. This is part 2. I showed the chart many months back. It was like my sneak peek, I think I labeled it, just to give people a heads up like, hey, this is coming and you might want to look at the degrees, which, by the way, I don't think I gave the degrees yet. It happens exactly like to the minute at 21 degrees. 21 degrees in the sign of Taurus. Okay. But when we get into April, Jupiter's already hitting 17, 18, 19 degrees. Right at the beginning of April. And there's other things like it there's other things, other aspects, other objects in the sky, celestial bodies like at 19 and 20 degrees. Right. So it's an interesting time where there's a lot of focus on Taurus energy. There's a lot of energy in Taurus. So getting back to Uranus, we have science, astronomy, astrology, technology, the appliances in your home. We think of inventions. So we think of EV. right? Something that's unconventional, right? Batteries, absolutely. Uranian energy, batteries, and battery storage, Uranian energy, and the technology behind that, and going forward, right? And the AI, and there's a lot of new and inventive and unconventional stuff going down, right? Here I'm recording this in February, at the end of February, and there's been rulings rulings within certain states in the US where they were, the rulings, Jupiter, judges. I didn't say judges with Jupiter yet, did I? Jupiter is judges, so definitely keep your eyes peeled for judges and rulings and the Supreme Court for sure, and maybe some shocks and surprises there. Like, I haven't even looked at the chart yet, but it's just coming in full throttle all of a sudden. This makes a lot of sense, though. It just lines up with what's going on, and I can only speak specifically to the US because that's where I'm located. Now, obviously, there can be a lot of things happening where you live in your part of the world, so you could always weave it in. But regardless of where people watch from, they're always saying all eyes are on the US. We are watching the US. Matter of fact, my subscribers from all around the world are just like, what the hell is going on over there? Like, we're highly concerned because the stability slash instability of the United States kind of sets the tone for what happens globally. So that's a concern. Sure. That's a concern. And that makes sense because that's always been the precedent, right? So a lot of unconventional stuff, a lot of, can you believe this? This has never been heard before. We've never done this before. We've never been here before. Like, that is the year. That all happened after the pandemic, right? After 2020 and the following years, it started this new paradigm of you should expect shit you ain't never experienced before. Like, that's just what it is. And that's Uranus energy, folks. So it's in Taurus, it's still in Taurus, and it's going to stay in Taurus till I believe almost 2027.